Early life and business ventures of Li Ka-shing. Li was born in Chaoan, Chaozhou in Guangdong Province in 1928 to Teochew parents named Li Yunqing, 1898 to 1943, and Cheng Bixin, 1893 to 1984. Li and his family fled to Hong Kong in 1940 as refugees from the Sino-Japanese War. Owing to his father's death from tuberculosis, he was forced to leave school at the age of 15 and found a job in a plastics trading company where he worked 16 hours a day. In 1950, he started his own company, Cheng Kong Industries. From manufacturing plastics, Li developed his company into a leading real estate investment company in Hong Kong that was listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange in 1972. Cheng Kong expanded by acquiring Hutchison Whampoa and Hong Kong Electric Holdings in 1979 and 1985 respectively. In 1950, after learning how to operate a plant, Li founded a plastic manufacturing company in Hong Kong with personal savings and funds borrowed from relatives. Li avidly read trade publications and business news before deciding to supply the world with high-quality plastic flowers at low prices. Li learned the technique of mixing color with plastics that resemble real flowers. After retooling his shop, he prepared the plant for a visit from a large foreign buyer. Fortunately for Li, the buyer placed a large order, and a few years later, Li grew to be the largest supplier of plastic flowers in Asia and made a fortune selling them. In 1958, believing rents would continue to rise, Li decided to purchase a site and develop his own factory building. An opportunity to acquire more land arrived after the 1967 riots when many people fled Hong Kong, and, as a result, property prices plummeted. Li believed the political crisis would be temporary and property prices would eventually rise, and bought land from the fleeing residents at low prices. In 1971, Li officially named his real estate development company Cheng Kong, Changjiang Sriye. Cheng Kong Holdings was publicly listed in Hong Kong Stock Exchange in 1972. During board meetings, Li stated on a number of occasions his goal of surpassing the Jardines-owned Hong Kong land as a leading developer. The successful bid by Cheng Kong for development sites above the Central and Admiralty MTR stations in 1977 was the key to challenging Hong Kong Land as the premier property developer in Hong Kong. Despite its size, Jardines decided in the 1980s to protect itself from hostile takeover by Li or other outside investors. The company implemented a cross-shareholding structure that was designed to place control in the hands of Britain's Keswick family despite their less than 10% holdings in the group. In 1984, the company also moved its legal domicile from Hong Kong to another British overseas territory, Bermuda, in anticipation of the transfer of sovereignty of Hong Kong to People's Republic of China in 1997. In an effort to drive forward divestitures of assets in Hong Kong and the Chinese mainland, Li agreed to sell the Center, the fifth tallest skyscraper in Hong Kong. With a value of 40.2 billion Hong Kong dollars, 5.15 billion US dollars, the deal constitutes the biggest ever office space real estate sale in the Asia-Pacific region. Li sold the CenturyLink complex in Shanghai for 2.95 billion US dollars, the second largest transaction for a single building, according to the Financial Times. In 1979, Li purchased a major stake in Hutchison Whampoa from Hong Kong Bank through Cheng Kong.